everyone. Welcome to Moments with Monika, a podcast where I engage in reflections on life, love, and learning. My background in early childhood studies is a lens that often shapes my views and reflections. I tend to understand the world as highly impacted by children, families, and individuals, as well as the policies, beliefs, and communities in which they live, love, work, and play. I see it as a reciprocal relationship. Join me in challenging and expanding my thinking through the help of others to live a more reflective life. You can find more of my work and what inspires me at monikaobermeyer.com. Let's get started, shall we?
This program is brought to you in part by bitcoinbasics.org. Learn how to get started with Bitcoin.
Hi everyone, welcome back. It seems like it's been a while since I've done this, but I guess it's just been a little over a week. I recently started a campaign online with like a hashtag for people to join in, and the hashtag is lessons from children. So it's hashtag lessons from children, and it kind of came out of this whole space of kind of where I am in life and where my thoughts are and what I'm trying to achieve, while at the same time, to be honest, it actually came a while ago in terms of when I was thinking, okay, one day I want to write a book, and that would be a really nice way to sort of structure the chapters. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just write a blog post for now about this topic and move on. But every time I sat down to write a blog post or thought about the process of writing the blog post, I kept thinking about more and more examples. So I think it's going to be more of an ongoing project for me. And perhaps at some point it would be a great way to structure a book. But I think all the moments that we spend with children, whether that's as a parent, as an aunt, even someone in the grocery store, if you take the time and look at them and actually think about what their thinking is and what they're doing, they're pretty profound. I've learned a lot working with children, particularly because a lot of the time people who work with children spend a lot of time also reflecting on what they're seeing, which is such a valuable part of being a good educator in any sense. You have to think about, what do you think that person's thinking is? And then, so this kind of came also out of a place where, I guess it's been a few months now, but not that long ago, I read two books back to back, which really had an impact on me. And first I can't remember which one I read first, but I read The Last Lectures, and then I read Tuesdays with Morrie. And they're both about end of life, when you have a moment to actually prepare for your end of life, because you have some form of both these people who wrote these books had a form of degenerative disease. So they knew their death was coming, and they had a lot of time to reflect on life leading up to their death. And I think it was the combination of one back to back. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I did it that way, but the combination of the two really made me see the overlap between the two, and how there's some great truths that kind of all humans aspire to or value, but that we can often forget and neglect in life. So that's things like spending more time with our family, possessions don't really matter when you're dying. You'll never regret not working one more day of your life, but you will regret not saying the things that matter to you. And so that, in combination with my thoughts about this book and podcasting and blogging, kind of all led together on top of what I'm trying to put out into the world with my content. And I just thought, we all know these things. Like, we all know that the people around us, the people that we have in our lives, matter so much more than racing towards our career or trying to buy a bigger TV or afford a bigger house. Don't get me wrong. You can love your career and be very passionate about it. But I think ultimately, if that's all you have, because you never put the time into building your connections and your relationships with people, I think it'd be really lonely. I think no matter what, you're going to regret some piece of that. So all of that led me to the lessons from children, because I think although we all know these things, we forget them. We forget in the rush of life and all the messages we get from the world and all the stuff and the things and the busyness that we fold into our lives. We forget the things we all inherently know, whether that's at death, if we get an illness, if you're a religious person, and even children. Children seem to innately know these things. And then in reflecting on this and talking to other people who podcast, I realized, we don't always need to reinvent the wheel. I don't need to always be putting out this groundbreaking new information that I discovered. Most of what I talk about or write about, I didn't actually discover. The goal is to put a different slant on it or write it in a different way or deliver it in my own way that hopefully it can connect with somebody to improve their life or the lives of children or families around them or their practice or depending how they apply it. And so I think Lessons from Children is just another extension of that. I'm not some great philosopher that I'm coming up with things that we don't already know. It is common sense. It's just not common sense that we put at the front of our sense. So I kind of hope that by packaging it in this way and bringing attention to how innate it is for us and how visual it is if you just look at children, that perhaps it will inspire people and myself to live in a way that is more true to those values, at least part of the time. I'm not saying drop it all and give up work and go just spend time with people and be a hippie, though I don't know why more of us don't do that. But that's my ultimate goal in life, by the way, is to be a hippie someday. But I think it's more about, can we make the time after work to have coffee with a friend? Can we take the time to question the world around us? Can we put a little bit in our life where at least one day a week we just do something we love for the pure passion of doing something we love and bringing joy to our lives? Some of the other examples, and I'll be posting them over the weeks in videos, but it's just like the first one that I posted was children ask why constantly. As soon as they figured out that they can get more information by asking that question, as soon as they understand what the word why really means, that it's a give me more information question, they want to know why about everything. Why do they have to tie their shoes? Why do they have to wear a jacket outside? Why do they have to eat their lunch? Why? And they'll ask about bigger things. Why does that lady have to sit in that chair all the time? Why does that lady have a special dog to help her get around? Why was that man being mean to that woman? They want to understand everything. And oh, there's my cat. Where are you, honey? There you are. There's my podcast cat. And I think there's something that happens as we grow older and get into our middle life where we stop asking why as much and start getting wrapped up so much in the business that is our life and stop asking why as much. Even to the point of, do we even ask, why am I so goddamn busy? Oops, clean show. If the minute we stop asking why or searching for more answers or questioning our own motives, we may as well be dead. Like that's part of learning that's part of life, is to learn every day, and children are sponges for learning. Not because they're any better at learning than adults. It's that they make it their life's work to learn everything they can all the time. And we have these priorities that we sometimes place above others. And I know we have responsibilities, and I get that. I have them too. But maybe we don't have as many as we think we have. Or maybe we can do with a little less here and there so that we do have time to ask why. And the other example I had was for this week, or I guess it was last week, was why not? Children also ask, why not? Why can't I go outside right now? Why can't I play in the rain? Why can't we go to the park right now? Why can't I be an astronaut now? Why can't I be a teacher, doctor, pediatrician, astronaut? And I think there's a beauty. It's so related to the asking why, but it's more because it's that challenge to the world. That challenge where we can stop and say, but why not? Why can't I do it all? Why can't I be awesome at my job and still make time for my family members? Why can't I have a hobby that I do twice a week, make friends, spend time with my friends, and work? Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. So I think it's that we could all do a little more with asking why and asking why not. And I said in my video, but I wanted to keep video short because it's not the same format as podcasts where I can just ramble on and you can just pop me in your car. I think this is really a struggle of adulthood. There's something that we're told our entire lives, that when I am an adult, I will do this. I will be this. I will be successful in these areas, which means A, B, and C. And, I don't see as much of that in the elderly, and definitely not in children, and not too much in youth either. It's just this middle window of life where we spent our whole life imagining and designing what that should look like based upon what we've been told by our cultures and by media. And then we just blindlessly pursue it. But it's not necessary. It's not all necessary. Don't get me wrong. I recognize that all choices have consequences. And so we choose how to act and be in the world to get the consequences and results that we want. At the same time, everything is a choice. And if you're not making a choice, if you're not stopping and making a choice, then you're making the choice unconsciously. And perhaps if you had stopped, you'd make a different choice. I choose whether I get up in the morning or not. I can stay in bed. Now, why do I choose it? Do I want to go to work and make money? Or do I choose it because it's just a part of my life and I have to, and the alarm went off and I have to go? That's still a choice. I chose to follow through with what I believe I have to do. But you don't have to. When you take a sick day, that's not really anything more than I need to laze around my house day. That was a choice too. And that was a choice you had every single day. Although if you did it every single day, you'd potentially lose your job. So we make these choices, but if we're not making them consciously, if we're not asking questions, then the world's kind of deciding for us, because it's easy to do kind of what's expected, what's normal, what we're supposed to do as adults. That we could all probably make a mental list of what being an adult looks like and what's expected and how do we act and what are our responsibilities during that time of our life. But none of us think we're adults. I've talked to people of all ages who have all said, I'm still a kid at heart. I don't feel like an adult. I don't feel like a grown-up. I don't feel like I'm good at doing what it is it's supposed to be, being an adult. And that's because it seems like being an adult means not making choices, not being present in our own lives. So of course we're not good at it. We're better at being children. We're better at questioning. We're not comfortable in this role because it's not natural to us. And then we retire, or we get older, or we get God forbid, a serious illness that makes us question everything. And suddenly we're free to ask again, to examine our choices, to examine our lives. But that shouldn't just be in the beginning and the end. That should be all the way through of our lives. So that's just one example. I think there's many examples of, I'll share them as time goes by, because I can talk about all of them so in depth, especially if I get into how beautiful it is when children do it, because that's my favorite, is watching them do it. But I think there's so much we can learn, both from people at the beginning of their life and the end of their life. I don't have so much experience with end of life, although this kind of came out of 2 books about end of life, which is ironic, but my world is children. And they are who inspire me and challenge me and motivate me. So that's where perhaps I can lend a new voice to the same life lessons you already know, and remind you of them, and help us all live a happier, better life. That's all I really want to do. That's my why sometimes, a lot of the times is I just want to help. I just want to help people. I particularly want to help children and families, but individuals and communities and society and all of it is all so interconnected that I can't just say I just want to help children. I want to help everyone, because we're all connected and all of us matter. So join me on my journey of exploring these lessons. I would love for you to post a video or post a picture on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you do social media with the hashtag lessons from children. It doesn't need to be that deep. You know, some of the lessons I have are make time for joy, or what else? Sorry, my cat's exploring and breaking down the house. So, you know, there can be little lessons. You know, it's things like just stop. You know, my stepdaughter told me one time when I still am, but one time I was going outside, I smoke, and she knows I'm attempting to quit smoking. It's an ongoing process, but you know, sometimes she's older and she'll say, well, why are you going outside? I thought you were quitting smoking. And I'll be like, it's so hard. You know, it's such a challenging thing once you have this addiction. And she just looked at me one day and she's like, just don't go. Just stop. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, she was just so baffled by not because she wasn't old enough to understand addiction. She is, and she learned about it in school, and we've talked about it, but, you know, it's more like, but can't you just stop doing the thing you don't want to do? Or else maybe a piece of you wants to do it. Like, she just gave me the most real look. Like, what are these lies you're telling? And, you know, these are the moments that when you spend time with children, it's like, wow, they're mini philosophers. They're brilliant. They're great thinkers. And we don't give them enough value. They know it all. It's like somehow these secrets to life are not secrets at all. It's almost, I don't know how it's possible. I'm not a deeply religious person, but I guess I'm spiritual. And it's like some things are almost passed down. Or like it's like something we just somehow know right away. Well, no, maybe it is culturally shaped, because I don't know. There's a big question there. I haven't studied diverse enough cultures and segregated cultures that don't really interact in the modernized world, but I still feel like there's things, you know, that just are good for us, for our soul, if that's what you believe in, or for our longevity, or for our happiness, or for the goodness of the people around us. And, you know, it's like when we help people, we feel good. When we make people feel good, we feel good. It's almost like it's wired into us in some sense. So please share your hashtags, post them up, think about it, ask why not, question everything. Come be childish with me in the best sense of the word, not the grow up, be childish, but like, you know, the good childish, the asking questions, the living life, the being our best people. Join me. And thanks for joining me again. See you next week. Thank you for joining me in Moments with Monika. If you found any value in this, please like, comment, and share this podcast. I would love for your feedback and to continue this discussion further. Feel free to stop by monikaobermeyer.com or on social media to message me and share your thoughts. Thank you again. Let's change ourselves and the world around us together. Goodbye.